Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome. I am Katarina Barushka.
And I am Hakop Karapetyan. Thank you for joining us.
We're coming to you from the Cronkite News set to talk about the arrival of the new Humphrey Fellows at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication.
The Humphrey Fellowship is a one-year exchange program that brings mid-level professionals from across the globe to the US so that they can own their leadership skills. ASU is one of the 13 chosen universities across the United States to welcome specialists in journalism and mass communication.
This year, Cronkite has received interesting characters. One of them is an ice swimmer, and there are also individuals who identify themselves with animals such as lions, pandas, and cat dogs, just to mention a few.
What's even more interesting about this year's cohort is the presence of Frankie the dinosaur amongst them. He is a columnist and a climate change communicator from Bangladesh. He is what Mayor Ahsan Habib has planned for the year.
I want to learn how to best communicate climate change and its likely effect. If I were an animal, I would choose to be Frankie the dinosaur, to advocate the humans, to stop from self-destructing activities and protect this one and only planet.
From a climate change advocacy dinosaur, we move on to the rainforests of the Ivory Coast and Emanuela Dago Akribi, our next fellow. She wants to travel the world and see all its natural sights.
Then she is in the right spot here in Arizona, where nature works wonders.
Let's see what Manu has to say about her plans.
During this fellowship, I aim to sharpen my skills in communication for development strategies so that I can help people in my country to improve their health and education. I also want to be more fluent in English and visit cities and places in the US that I've never been to before.
And we intend to showcase more girl power by introducing Doreen Ampofo, a broadcaster and assistant manager at Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Doreen is a journalist who's interested in ensuring the rights of girls, women, and children. During her spare time, he enjoys watching soccer. Let's hear what Doreen has planned for her year at Cronkite.
Within the next 10 months, I'm aiming to enrich my knowledge and skills towards becoming a strategic crisis communicator. This is to help contribute to my country's fights and advocacy against ending witchcraft accusations in Ghana.
Can we even discuss any possible grounds for calling someone a witch?
I heavily doubt it.
Well, I know all about fleeing from a bloody dictator, but at least I have not been labeled a witch.
Yeah.
The next Humphrey Fellow, Makepeace Sitlow, is a freelance journalist from India. Makepeace feels that if she were an animal, she'd be a panda that doesn't care about anything, but everyone else being concerned about her survival. However, as a human, Makepeace cares about her Humphrey year a lot and has a solid agenda for it.
In my Humphrey year, I'll be working on an independent journalism model that looks at conducting cross-border investigative reporting from India's northeast. This model will also look at bringing in-depth stories from the ground in a region that is really considered the confluence of South and Southeast Asia.
From India to Latvia, we introduce Nelia Lochmele, the editor of IR magazine, whose hobby is ice swimming. The Ice Queen says her hobby has prepared her for the grand contrast between the hell-like heat and AC chills of Phoenix. Here's her take of the Humphrey Fellowship year.
During my Humphrey year, I'm looking for sparks of new ideas that I can blow into real fire back home and really figure out how we can reach those insanely fragmented digital audiences with amazing journalism that our team is creating.
Have you ever tried ice swimming, Katya?
No, not for me. The day I master ice swimming, I master flying. But there is another Humphrey Fellow who enjoys being in the water a lot. Zahidunisa from Pakistan even wishes she were a mermaid. Well, let's hear how the mermaid intends to swim through the fellowship.
During my Humphrey year, I'm taking time to revive and rebuild myself personally and professionally so that when I go back home, I have a diversified portfolio and development communications is added to my skill set.
Crossing over from Pakistan to Russia, here is Anastasia, editor-in-chief of News Team in Russia. She says her spirit animal is cat dog because as a cat she feels great being alone. But as a dog, she likes communicating with people. Well, what does she have planned for the year?
During the Humphrey year, I intend to learn digital marketing and how to support journalists' mental health. These knowledges I really need in my country right now.
Anastasia comes from Sakhalin, an island on the far east of Russia. In terms of cuisine, they are actually quite different from the stereotypical vodka and pickles, but are much closer to South Korea, the country where two fellows come from.
Yes, the first of the two South Korean fellows is Ji-hye Yang. Don't be misled by her looks. She identifies with a killer whale because of her unbreakable personality. Ji-hye is a staff and editorial writer at Joseon Ilbo, one of the largest and oldest media companies, which is known for its tough corporate culture. Is what Ji-hye wants to accomplish during the fellowship.
In my Humphrey year, I want to find out how journalism helps to enhance female leadership in various sectors. I hope all women in the world will live a forward-looking life beyond the gender barrier.
The other Humphrey Fellow from South Korea is Jong-gun Lee. He is currently a news reporter at Korea Broadcasting Services. Jong-gun says that if he were an animal, he'd be a capybara, which loves everyone and is loved by everyone. And this is what he plans for the fellowship.
Well, my goal is to contribute toward improving diversity in my country. So, during my Humphrey year, I'll research on how journalism helps to improve diversity and inclusion.
And now we will introduce you to a fellow who has traveled the longest distance in order for him to be a cronkite this year. It's none other than Teddy Kafo from the Solomon Islands in the Pacific region. Teddy says if he was an animal, he'd be a leatherback turtle and travel long distance in the ocean to reach nesting grounds. Here is what the Solomon Islands government communication officer has to say.
For my Humphrey Fellowship year, I want to develop my leadership skills and to boost my profile as a government communication officer so that upon return to the Solomon Islands, I will prove to be a good communication specialist and serve the government faithfully.
Before the arrival of these fellows, did you know, Jakob, where Solomon Islands are on the map?
Never tried it.
Well, that's the plus of being part of Cronkite Global. They bring the world to us.
Yes. Last, we present to you Blessing Jonah, a Zimbabwean journalism and media studies lecturer who teaches film production classes at the National University of Science and Technology. In 2017, Blessing and his students wrote a screenplay and produced a feature film titled Intentions with One Camera and One Microphone to prove their filmmaking passion at an under-resourced university. The film was not screened after authorities and social commentators said it was too explicit. Here's what he has to say about his Humphrey year.
I intend to learn as much as I can from US filmmakers and scholars so that I can play a key role in the revival of the Zimbabwean film industry. Once revived, this industry can employ many jobless and talented Zimbabweans.
All in all, this year's Humphrey Fellows are a cocktail of leaders in diverse fields, and they have noble aims to fulfill. We wish them nothing but the best.
Well, but we also have to admit that we're not really news anchors. We're fellows ourselves. Jakob here is from Armenia, and he's an editor-in-chief of the main fact-checking platform FIP.
Yeah.
Jakob, tell us about yourself.
Well, this year I hope to improve my investigative skills and learn to use different new digital tools. But the main motivation is for me communicate with colleagues from different countries and getting to know America better. Last but not least about myself, I love my family, my children, my friends, and fish with potato. Turning to you, Katya, I know you are a freelance journalist from Belarus. Please tell our viewers more about yourself and your goal for this Humphrey year.
I've done a year of Taekwondo. I also love pizza, so I believe I qualify to come back as a first female Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle in my next life. I'd call myself Frida to honor Frida Kahlo. And for my Humphrey year, I hope to learn how I can fit in the society and help it fight propaganda and fake news that are sweeping over the planet.
Hurricane Katya, as we have come to call her, was too modest to tell you that she escaped from Belarus to Poland with her husband and kids after protesting against the government. She's a wanted person in Belarus. She's a runaway hurricane.
That will wrap up our welcome video.
Thank you for joining us.